episode of Talk with Renee Dallo. It's me, your host, Renee Dallo, coming to you on video makeup. I put makeup on for y'all. I didn't do my hair though. Um, this week we are here with the lovely and fabulous Heidi Schalk. Heidi, how are you?
I am fantastic, Renee. I'm so excited to chat with you. We've already had a little behind the scenes, and I'm just in love with you already.
Yes, I was like, wait. I have to capture it. Hold on. We are talking, Heidi is here to talk about single parenting while being an entrepreneur, which we have done the show for 4 years, Heidi, and we've never talked about this.
Wow.
One, because I myself am child free, but two, I just think that maybe the wedding industry, I think we have a little something going on about single parenting while being wedding pros. And so I know you're not a wedding pro, but I just want to talk about like how running a business, taking care of your family, like, how do you do it?
It's definitely a work in progress. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There's ebbs and flows, and the way actually I started my business by going through a divorce. I was a stay at home mom. I didn't have to worry about finances. That was his department, was the finances, and my job was my responsibility was the home. So then when I found myself moving through a divorce in 2018, I was like, what am I going to do? I wanted to be able to take care of me, my kids, my 5 animals at the time, and keep my home.
Wow.
And so I was like, what do I get to do and still be home? I was a very active mom. I was involved in the school. I was part of the auction committee at their school, doing all of that, homeroom mom for both classes, like all the
Oh,
things.
wow.
And I'm like, how do I still be present with them and home for them and also be able to create an income? So I did work 2 jobs while I was building my business. So I was coming and going, and that led to burnout. However, now I work my business full time and I get to be home. I'm in my office. They're out there watching. My son's watching Hamilton. My daughter's spinning on her spinner for ice skating. And we had tutoring earlier, and I get to be flexible with my business. I work 4.5 hours a day, blocked time, and then if I need extra time, I'll bring that in at night or in the morning or on the weekends when I need it. But it's definitely been a learning curve and a learning
Yeah.
experience, and also a beautiful journey as far as bringing them into it with me, because if I
Yeah.
couldn't bring them in with me, then it wouldn't work. It
Yeah.
wouldn't.
What would you say, like, back in 2018 when you were getting started, did you have a lot of mindset stuff to overcome, like, to do that? Yeah. Oh, look at that face. Yes. Tell me.
So the I thought, because I hired a mentor right out of the gate, somebody I could not afford. She was way out of my league at the time. And
Yeah.
she was like, do what you know. And I'm like, okay, I know health and wellness. I was a personal trainer before I got married. I competed in bodybuilding and figure. And I'm like, oh, it's gonna be so easy because everybody made it so easy. It's not easy. But it can be simple, but it's not easy. So everybody made it so easy. I was like, oh, this is going to be simple. I'm going to make my $1 million. Like, this is going to be a piece of cake. Um, so then I realized that on social media, you actually have to be seen and heard. And I was like, what? Because I grew up that you could be seen as children, but you couldn't be heard, right?
Yeah.
And anytime I did speak, most of the time when I spoke up, it was met with really bad consequences for me. So
Yeah.
I always like shined away from the spotlight, and I always kept my voice. I dimmed my voice. So now actually have a podcast that I would love to have you on, called
Yes.
Be
Thank you.
She. It's called Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Empowered. And when I first started my business, the crazy thing is that I was debilitatingly shy. I did not want to go
Oh,
live. I did not want to put my message out, and I couldn't go be vulnerable. I'm like, how am I going to share my story and my journey? Who wants to hear my
right.
story and my journey? Who am I to share that? Right? Like, nobody wants to
Right.
hear from me. So that was my biggest obstacle that I had to overcome. And luckily for me, in that program that I joined, there was another member, and she befriended me, and we were in the DMs talking on Facebook, and she said, I have a challenge for you. Will you accept it? And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, like how hard can this be? And
yeah.
she's like, great. I want you to go live, and your topic is my breakdown to get to my breakthrough. Immediately my throat closed. I started sweating. I started shaking, and I wanted to just hide. And she goes,
Yeah.
I want to support you, and I will be there for you on your live stream, but you must do it now because I'm across the pond. She was in England, I'm in Florida, and she's like, it's after midnight right now, and I need to go to bed, but I will support you in doing this. So I literally hit the live button, And Renee, when I tell you, it was the worst live stream would ever see in your life. I was bawling, crying. I was
Oh,
shaking. I was hyperventilating. I was puffy. A migraine was developing. It was
of
all the
course.
feels, all the things and
Yeah.
all the feels. I stopped the live stream. She got in the DM and she's like, "That was awesome." And I'm like, "No, it wasn't." And she's like, "That was awesome. And I have another challenge for you. Will you accept it?" I'm like, it can't be any worse than that. I almost died. And she goes, I'm like, "Sure, whatever." She goes, "Great, you get to go live for the next 5 days." I go, "I'm
Oh,
done. Good night." And I went to bed and I woke up the next day and I woke up to the most amazing responses from people inside that private Facebook group. They were like, "Thank you so much for showing up vulnerably. Thank you so much for showing up raw. And now you've inspired me to go live. You've inspired me to walk through my fears." And I was like,
yes.
wow, that was the first moment. And believe it didn't just, the fear didn't just disappear with that.
No.
One of the coaches actually did a impromptu training that day around vulnerability and the power of showing up vulnerably because of how I showed up in that live stream. So what I want to share with everybody here is on all your listeners is that if there's a fear that you have, if you focus on one person, just helping one person, that now that's what I do because I still have fear. I go live, but I still have fear with it because I'm afraid. Well, what if somebody says something,
Right.
or
Right.
or what are they going to think about me? But that's changed because I just focus on one person. If I can help one person be seen and be heard and empower them to do so and step out of their comfort zone, and that's going to shift the trajectory of their life. Your audience is wedding professionals. If you can step out of your comfort zone and create the most beautiful memory and wedding for your people, that's what matters. So when we get out of our own way, that's when we can serve. And that's what I have to remind myself every day because that was the
Yeah.
biggest fear that I had when I was starting my business. I'm sorry if
So
that was a big tangent about that.
no, I love it. So you did the 5 days live, and did it sort of, I always think, when we put ourselves on the front there of bravery, when someone says, "Go be brave," and you're like, "Okay, I guess I'll do it." I always feel like bravery is a muscle, right? And so the more we practice it, the better we get at it. I know you said you still get nervous, but do you feel like you're altogether more brave than you were back in 2018?
Oh, I'm much more brave than I was in 2018. I've definitely evolved and my business
Yeah.
has evolved. I didn't start as a business coach because I didn't know anything about business. So I've
Right.
evolved and some of you that are listening will find you'll evolve. You'll be,
Yeah.
3 years from now, your business will evolve over time. I am more brave and now it's not as scary to step out of my comfort zone because I didn't
Yeah.
die when I went live that day. I
Right.
had all the feels and all of the emotions and it was super ugly, but I didn't die. So I
Yeah.
know no matter what I do going forward, like sending an email or putting a stake in the ground for something that I believe in that could be super scary. I send it and I go. I send it and run. Like that's what
Yeah.
you do. You just send it and run because that's how you're going to grow your audience. You get to put your stake in the ground. You get to stand for something, and it's not always going to be what everybody agrees with, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
okay because that's what's going to make the difference to your audience and in the world.
So tell me about single parenting as an entrepreneur. Right before we pressed record, you were talking about dealing with your kids' morning routines, and we love a good morning routine around here. So tell me what's going on with that.
Yeah, I love a good morning routine. I have my routine. I do my gratitude journal and all the things. And I used to sit with coffee with my dogs, and then the kids would be sleeping. But now my kids are in two different schools. So my daughter's in ninth
Oh
grade, my son's in seventh. So she has to be in school at 7:30, and he has to be in
my
school by
God,
9:30. So it's like
so
literally
early.
start work until 10. Unless I get up at
Wow.
4, I'm not really
Right.
doing much. So the last 2 weeks ago, I was away. I was away at an event after Thanksgiving for an entire week. So their father had them.
Mhm.
And she came back home in the first 2 days. She was cranky as heck. Like waking up in the morning, she would yell at me. She didn't want to get out of bed. And I'm like, I can't do this for the next rest of the year. Like until
Yeah.
May, I can't do this. This is not going to work. So I decided we're going to sit down and we're going to have a dinner. So I told them on when this was Monday and Tuesday that I dealt with this. And then Wednesday, I said, that's it. I'm done. We're going to dinner. They're like, we're going to dinner. I'm like, yep, you guys pick it. You guys pick where you want to go. I brought a nice little notebook out and we ordered and I said, okay, let's get to it. We are getting super structured in our mornings and in our days, because structure
Yes.
creates freedom.
Mm.
And the more structure you have, the more freedom you have in your life, the more freedom you have in your business. So I get to now teach them that because I've been way too nice about their morning routine. I wake them up, I do all the things. So I said, I go, you get to now get yourself up in the morning. If you are
Yeah.
not downstairs and if you're not ready to go when I'm ready to go, then the consequences are on you. If you
Yeah.
miss school or you miss a class and you have to take an exam because of that, then that's the consequences. Because by coddling them, they're not going to be prepared for life. So
Yeah.
we
100%.
decided, what time do you need to set the alarm for? And I wrote it down. Hunter is my daughter. She gets to set her alarm for 6:10. My son gets to set his
Mm.
alarm for 8:15 or 8 o'clock, whatever he decided. Then we went through, what are the expectations in this household? Because there's no allowance for expected things. So my
Okay.
expectations are garbage goes out, dishes are in the dishwasher, um, dogs, I have dogs. They get to be brushed, and they also get to be have their, stuff picked up outside
Mm.
when they
Mhm.
go.
Mhm.
So they all have their things that are expected. Make their bed in the morning, because when you make your bed in the morning, you've already accomplished something for the day. You've already set yourself up for
100%.
success. So it's
Oh,
super
yeah.
important that they make their bed in the morning, which we have not been doing. I'll admit.
Okay.
So they get to do that. Those are expectations, that, and it all gets to be complete by the bed in the morning, but everything else by 7:30 at night. And then they have an hour to be with their friends, do what they want to do before we unwind for bed. And it's listed out. And then if they, for things that allowance wise, for things that they get to be paid for to earn money,
Mhm.
because another thing I learned recently, which was spectacular, why are parents paying for gifts for their friends? If they wanna buy
Oh,
their
yeah.
friends gifts, they should be buying their friends gifts, so they get to
Yeah.
earn money for the things that they wanna spend on. This is what's creating successful, responsible adults in the future. So they get to create value in the home in order for that they're gonna get paid for. Because as entrepreneurs, the world's changing, and it's changing fast, especially with
Yeah.
AI. So the entrepreneurs that are gonna make it are the ones that are creating value in the world. So I want to teach my children that in order to, if you want to get paid, you get to create value in our home. And that means doing something outside the box. Maybe vacuuming for that, you see
Yes.
something's going on and you vacuumed that room. That's adding value to the family. That's create or volunteering,
Yeah.
donating your time into something else. That's
Yeah.
creating value. So that's what we sat down and we did, and now we're going to have a once a week meeting on how that's progressing every week, and how we're doing, what worked, what didn't
Yeah.
work, and how can we tweak what didn't work, and how can I support you in making it work in the next week.
So was there any pushback to this?
No, they loved it. We were laughing and joking. They didn't fight with each other. They joked with each other, and
Wow.
they're brother and sister, so they butt heads a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was and I said, I go, do you know what mommy does? I actually brought that up too. I'm like, do you know what mommy does? And do you understand why mommy's doing what she does? Because sometimes I work. It's 8 o'clock at night right now while I'm talking with you. They're in the
Yeah.
other room. And I said, I have a podcast, appearance that I'm doing, and so I'm going to be recording. And they said, yeah, we know what you do. And I said, do you know why I go away? Because sometimes I go away to conferences, and they said
Yeah.
yes. And I go, I'm doing this for the family. I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for our future. And I also shared with them what my goals are for next year. My
Mm.
goal is 7 figures. Like, we are creating this. And I said, in order for me to create this for our family, I need my team. You are my
Yes.
team, and we
Yeah.
get to work together on this. So I'm bringing them into the goals. So this is not my goal to create 7 figures. This is our family goal to create
Yep.
7 figures. And in order for me to create that, they get to step up as well and follow through with the things that they're committed to following through with.
It's genius. I mean, it's like a little business that of just
Mhm.
it's a little family business. My question for you is because you said your ex-husband is still in the picture. Does this same like culture exist at his place or is this only at mom's house?
He's a great dad, and I did share with him what I did, and he was like, he loved it. And so he's definitely, I think he's going to be implementing that we have each other's back. And that's another
Nice.
thing why this works, is I can reach out to him. We don't always maybe agree, but we come together, because at the end of the day, even though we're not together, we everything we do is for them. we put them first, and that's one thing that we made, like, I made sure when we got divorced that that was created. I wasn't going to allow our issues to affect them. And that's another reason I started my business, was because I wanted their life to stay the same as much as I could. I kept the home. I didn't want to move from the home, so I fought for this, and I've done everything to keep it. And I also wanted to make sure that their livelihood didn't change as far as me being home at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
for them, where I could pick them up. They could keep those things going because they
Yeah.
were young. They were 5 and 7. And that's a
Mm.
really important, those are important years,
Yeah.
with life changing. So that was one of the whys of why I started my business as well. So he's on board, and he's a great dad. So
No,
I'm
that's
blessed in.
yeah, no, that's really wonderful. Did you find when the kids were younger and you were like, starting this business that like what were the challenges? Was it like who's going to watch the kids or was it deeper than that?
It was, yeah, it was tough. Luckily for me, I had my grandmother and my mother here. Now I
Yes.
don't. Now my
Oh.
grandmother passed away a couple years ago, and my mom has moved, but she's now here from she's here we're in December right now. So she's here from December to April on and off. So
Hmm.
she will help while she's here. But while they were little, I was blessed enough to have that support system in place, and that's huge. And if you don't have that support system in place, it's really important that you find it, whether it's with friends or something like that, because there's no way I could have. It was chaotic,
Yeah.
just because of, like you
Yeah.
said, mindset. Was there a lot of mindset shifts?
Yeah.
Yes. Organization, structure, all of that, like scarcity, that was a
Oh,
huge
yeah.
mindset issue that I got to work through, and it's been an ongoing one for years. So those were things that were definitely a challenge, and having small kids that you really wanted, I wanted to keep everything as close as possible. So having a support system, and if it's not family, creating one, finding one is super, super key.
Yeah, I was raised by a single mother. So I'm not a mother, as I said, but I was raised by a single mom, and my grandparents played a huge role in my upbringing because I'm from New York City, so my mom was like worked on Wall Street as like an administrative assistant. So I was with my grandparents every day, and I often think about like what would have happened if my grandparents weren't around at that time, and actually it doesn't feel like it would have been a completely different thing to not have. I hate this word, but sort of that tribe around the two of us. Like we would have been very different if it were just the two of us, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How did you evolve into the coach that you are now?
Well, when I first started, as I said, I was not a business strategy coach. I knew
Right.
zero about business. And I decided, because the coach that I hired was like, do what you know. So I knew health and wellness, like I shared. And I went into that space, and it had completely changed, because when I had done it, I was a personal trainer inside of a gym. I had done event sales. So I had a sales background. I was in radio sales. I had a lot of sales background, and I had that health and wellness space, which was a lot of mindset. So when I went back into health and wellness, I had didn't realize that it completely changed. Now that online had taken, everybody was moving toward online. There was gut health,
Yeah.
keto, vegan, like it had niched down in a big way. And I wasn't excited about it. It did
Yeah.
not turn me on. And I'm like, I don't want to learn this. It doesn't excite me. I'm not passionate about it. So what I was going through a huge transformation, and I was in a leadership program. So I started working with women on transformation,
Yeah.
what they wanted to create, transforming their lives, really reaching for their goals. So we would set goals and manifest. I would work with them on manifesting those goals. So as I was moving them through that process, they were creating and hitting those goals and achieving them. And they all started wanting to start a business. Most of them, I would say
Yeah.
80% of them, now
Mhm.
wanted to move into starting their own business, because they had seen me do it. So that's how my business evolved into business strategy coaching and what I do now.
I love that. It's so funny when you're a
If you had
coach.
told me 6 years ago I'd be business coaching, I would have been like,
Right.
no.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know how much you know about me, but I've been a wedding planner for over a decade, but I'm also a certified life coach as of this year. And you know what it takes. You have to put in all these hours to be a coach. And what's funny about everyone that I'm coaching, every client that I have this year as a coach has rebranded, all of them. And it's not, I'm not telling them to rebrand, right? I'm just receiving this energy, and I'm like, "Oh, I think this is gonna be another rebrand." And so I said to one of my clients the other day, I said, I don't know, am I a rebrand coach now?" And we laughed, and I said, "I'm just receiving what you guys are bringing me here, and you're all bringing me rebrand. So I think it's interesting, like, we learn
Yeah.
a lot from our clients. It's not always us saying, "This is what I wanna do or be." Sometimes people tell me or tell us, the royal we, "This is what you are to me." And I'm like, "Oh, how funny, how interesting." It's just a
That's
funny, funny
amazing. That's
thing.
awesome, and it's just like and you get to be open to whatever's
Yeah.
coming next.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also feel like that's sort of a metaphor for parenting, isn't it?
You always have to get to be open for what's next. You never know what's coming.
Do either of your kids have and do you think they have an entrepreneurial spirit?
I think so.
Yeah.
My daughter really loves her skincare, and I'm
Oh,
like, you should do skincare for teens because,
yes.
she used to do more videos and things online. Right now, she's not really doing anything. My son will get into the mode of he wants to start YouTube, and
Yeah.
so I think eventually down the road they'll get to it. But right now, they have their art. Like my daughter really loves ice skating, so she's
Mm.
focused on that, and my son really loves his theater and his art, so he's focused on that. So we'll see. I wouldn't ever say no because I think it's
Yeah,
just
you
going to be
never know.
their dad's
You
an
never know.
entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, so I think eventually they'll
Oh, it's
like,
likely that, yeah, they're gonna do something. They're gonna do
yeah,
something for sure.
yeah.
Um, I wanna talk about self-care because it's such an important topic for me personally. It's something that I've been on a self-development journey of for years. I also run a self-care membership for wedding pros and creatives, and so I'm always curious, especially as a single mom, like, what is your non-negotiable self-care? Come hell or high water, what is Heidi doing for herself?
I would say and I wish I had it in the room, but it's not, because I carried it around with me all day today. My gratitude journal.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
my non-negotiable, and the way I do it is a little different than that many people may do it, is I have my gratitude journal and I write my gratitude for the morning, and then I go into future gratitude as if it already
Mm,
happened. So
yes,
I always lead with, I'm grateful for my children, and I start with that, and then I go into what I want for the future that I don't have yet, but I write it as I've already had it. Like I didn't know how I was going to get a new roof on my home, and I needed a new roof, and I'm like, I'm grateful for my new roof, and literally it happened. Relationships with certain people that I thought were like I would be like FOMOing over, and
yeah,
I'm like, I am so grateful that I have a business relationship with them, and we are friends, and it happened. It showed up.
yeah,
So just it's really amazing what you can create when you're in gratitude and living in that state and at that vibration. I
yeah.
also now started doing besides just that on the other side of the page because I'll let it flow. Some days I'll have like maybe 10 things,
Mm,
other days I'll have 2 pages. I just write until it stops.
yeah,
And then and then on the next page I'll write I am loved. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am, a force to be reckoned with. Like
yes,
whatever you're feeling like you need in that moment,
yes.
like just declaring it for the day, that's what I write on the other page.
I love it. How long would you say that takes you to do every day?
Oh, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I
Thank
yeah,
you
I
for that.
so I
Yes.
have my routine, yes, 5 minutes. It doesn't take long at all, and sometimes it takes less because if I'm not in flow, even if I'm
Mhm.
grateful for, like, 3 things, I'm grateful. I'm in
Yeah,
gratitude,
yeah,
and some days it'll just flow, like, no and some days I'll sit outside, like, right now I live in Florida. Right now, the weather is gorgeous, so I love to open the doors and go sit outside and just be in
nice.
like, hear the birds, see the squirrels, have my dogs run,
Yeah.
and I'll have my coffee with me, and that's how I like to start my day.
I love it, and thank you for giving that time frame because a lot of times we talk about habits constantly in the membership, and the thing that keeps coming up is like, "I don't have time," and it's like, "Well, but you have 5 minutes, right?" Because you were probably gonna go not you, but the general you, "We're gonna go scroll TikTok for 5 minutes anyway, so you may as well do something good for yourself," right? And I know you're very goal oriented, and this episode is actually gonna be coming out in 2024, so how just walk us through how you, like, approach your goals. Do you make, like, a word of the year? Do you do goals per quarter? Like, what's your vibe?
Okay, so I love this because I'm actually doing a 2-day goal workshop coming up.
Mm,
So it starts with vision. What's your
mm,
vision? And the way you tap into your vision, and this is a question I'll say to many people, especially women, is like, what do you want?
yeah,
And they can't answer it. Many can't answer it because we
I
don't
know.
allow ourselves to want. We feel selfish.
Yeah.
We put everybody else before us. We're nurturers. So it's like when you ask what do I want? I'm like, I'm allowed to want, like I'm allowed to think that way. So
Yeah.
really go into what is it that you want and taking time and journaling on that. And if you're blocked on that, what's coming up for you that's blocking you from stepping into your vision? Because that really scares me and makes me really sad when women don't know what they want and don't have a vision. So you can't create a goal if you don't have a vision. So
Yeah.
that's the first step. What is your vision? What do you want to create? And many ways I'll ask this too is like, if it's a year from now and I haven't seen you and I run into you and I'm like, oh my God, Renee, it's been a year. What have you, like, what's going on for you? You know, and
Yeah.
most women, when I ask that question, will say, well, I want this, and and I'm like, no, you're in it. They can't be in it. So it's all created from a place of it's in the future, but you already have it. It's already happening. So
I love
starting
that.
with your vision, getting very clear with your vision, and then what are your big goals? And think big. Go big. And most people will go big for their year goal and then they'll underestimate their 5-year goals.
Oh,
So
100%. Yeah.
yeah, so really just like and go big, because even if you hit half, like when I have a huge goal for next year and I'm like, if I hit half that, I'm crushing it.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
but if I went half that, I wouldn't be happy. Like if I hit half
Right.
of that.
Well,
So
I think
go
they have to
big.
be a little scary too. The goals have to scare you a
Has to
bit.
be scary. It has to
Yeah.
be scary. It gets to be realistic. It gets to be scary, and it gets to be stretchy. Because your brain does get to comprehend it, but
Yeah.
you can comprehend your big goals when you set that goal and then reverse engineer what that looks like backwards. So then go back monthly. Okay, if I create $1 million goal for the year, what does that look like quarterly? It's
Yeah.
250, 250, 250, 250. However, my first quarter out of the gate, I may realize, you know what, 250 kind of like super scary and I don't see it as attainable. So okay,
Right.
let me go for the 100, you know.
Right.
I'm
Right.
going to go for even the 50, because once you create that, then you can always triple it for the next one. Then you can really set yourself up to really stretch. Like you crush that goal and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now let's go all in on the next one. And
Yeah.
then you're going to hit, and then those goals go up. But you need to know where you're going in order to get there. So set your goal, reverse engineer it backwards, quarterly and then monthly, and then you get to break down your weekly. So whatever
Mm.
that monthly goal, what is it weekly that your goals are? So by Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday, however you work, I pray that you guys take days off. So Monday to
Please,
Friday,
days off, please.
yeah, we're just going to say Monday to Friday, and I know wedding planners they work weekends, but just for this segment, Monday to Friday, what are your goals? What do you need to do for that week to hit that goal? And then reverse engineer that backwards per day. So
Yeah.
you know what you're hitting, and it has to be measurable. You have to be able to you need to know your numbers. And if you're not doing it that way, you're not going to know your numbers, and it's going to be really hard to hit those goals.
I agree. I think it's so interesting what you said about people not even knowing what they want. I did a corporate workshop, virtual last week, and it was about like abundance manifestation, and then also like a tiny bit of goal setting, like a looking forward. And I asked what everyone does for fun, and it was a pretty innocuous question for me, and one of the participants got very emotional, and she said, "I don't even know what I like to do for fun. I don't. I'm so far removed from fun at this point in my life that I don't even know." And I was like, "All right, well, there's the work, first of all, but second of all, like, let's not shame ourselves for not knowing. If we're living a life that is so far removed from that, then that's actually a gift to know that that's where the work is." So if when Heidi said that, like, well, you have to know what you want, if your whole body just said, "Oh, fuck, I don't know what I want," there's no shame in that. You just know that that's where you start. That's where you have to start,
Exactly.
you know?
That's where you start. And fight, yeah, just like you shared, like it's an awareness, and that's a blessing and a gift that you are now aware. Don't feel shame over it. Feel gratitude for it. Thank you for letting me feel this, so I know that's my next step. Because
Yeah,
many people don't know what their next step is. And for women, especially, like, big time for women, listen to your body. Listen
yeah.
to the responses that your body is giving you, because that's going to tell you exactly where you get to go next. Whenever something scary comes up for me, like there was, for case in point, there was an event where we got to speak on stage. It was a speakathon with Pete Vargas.
Ooh, I love
Um,
it.
yeah, so it was like you could go, and I immediately, as soon as it came up, my body immediately shut down, and I said, that's my next cut.
Yep.
That's where I get to go. And I literally had a week. Like it was the next week. I wasn't going to have any days to prepare for it, but I said, you know what? I get to do it anyway. Because I
Yeah.
know it's so scary. My body just shut down. That means that's where I get to go. Because if I really want to create my 7 figures next year, I need to be able to step out of my comfort zone and do the scary things.
And how did it go?
It was awesome. I made it through round 1.
Amazing.
I made it through round 1. Round 2, I didn't prepare for at all. Like, I prepared on the way down for round 1. So round 2, I didn't prepare for, but I've already spoken on since September. I think I've been on 20 stages.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and then for September, no, was it October, November? For 3 months, October, November, December, I set a goal to speak on 20 stages just for this quarter. And yeah, I will crush that goal. So, but I
Nice.
would have never done that had I not stepped into the fear that I
Yes.
was feeling. So
Ah,
that's what I invite all of you to do.
love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I just want to bring it full circle. Anyone listening who's a single parent, what is your one, if you could leave them with one piece of advice, what would your advice be?
That's a great question. Be you.
Mm,
Be you. And that means be vulnerable with your kids, let them
mhm.
in, share with them what your goals are, share with them what you're up to. Because most parents are so, like, we're so scared of messing up our kids, but our kids just want to know what we're up to. So share what you're doing, share what your goals are, let them be a part of your journey, and you are going to raise amazing kids that are contributing to the world.
Uh, I love it. I love it. Heidi, thank you so much for being here. You're a delight.
Here, Renee, this has been amazing. I've just enjoyed this so much.
Thank you. I'm so glad I got to be one of your speaking one of your manifested speaking things. Although it's not a stage, I get it, but it's the
No, this is
same
a stage.
energy.
This is a
Yeah,
stage, and for the wedding planners who are listening, get on stages. Get in front of people. You're gonna really hone in your messaging. You're gonna get in front of more people, and you're gonna be able to grow your business and just serve more people with the beauty of you.
I love that. Heidi, where can people find you on the internet? Where do you hang out?
I'm in all the places. So you can find me on Facebook. Facebook, I'm Heidi Schalk. My website is HeidiSchalk.com. I have Instagram, Heidi Schalk Coaching, and I'm on TikTok. That's a new one. So Pinterest
Me
is
too.
super new. Just launched Pinterest. So if you want to
Nice.
see us go there and want to, watch us and come along for the journey, I'd love to have you. So we're there. And what did I leave out? Oh, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm
Oh,
Heidi Schalk
lovely.
on
We will
LinkedIn
put
too.
all of these links in the show notes so you can very easily click over and connect with Heidi. And thank you again, friend. It's good to have you here.
Absolutely, thank you, and we're having an event in
Oh,
January called the Irresistible Offer Boot Camp.
nice.
So go to the website, or, you can,
We can
yeah,
link
and just
it.
connect with me. We'll link it, on Instagram, and you can join. It's free,
Oh,
and we'll show
lovely.
you if you're, not sure about your offer and it's not jiving fully for you, join us for the event. We'll love
Ah,
to help.
love it. Thanks so much, Heidi.
Thank you.